The lessons that students are learning in university are no longer practical. Where are the lessons on maximizing productivity to avoid burnout, setting and achieving long-term goals, how to get a raise or a job or a promotion, and finance management to avoid surprises later on in life? An education should involve learning life skills that a person will carry with them after college in order to navigate relationships and careers and be a well-rounded, successful person. Each week, I ask my students what the top obstacles they're facing are in their professional lives. And these are the most common questions that I receive. How can I get a job in finance with no previous experience? How do I find a profitable business idea and build a successful business? How can I find clients and investors? What is the best way to invest in stocks, even in uncertain economic conditions? And what are the skills needed to navigate the corporate ladder and advance my career or get the job of my dreams? These are all amazing questions. In fact, these are the skills that even the top business schools are leaving out of their curriculum. Now, students in my MBA program have achieved the following unbelievable career milestones. One of my students got a job offer at Goldman Sachs in New York City, working in investment banking, making $175,000 just base salary. And he is in the same post-MBA start class with Harvard Business School students. Now, another one of my students raised $11 million for his startup from the same venture capitalist that invested in Tesla, Baidu, SpaceX, and Twitter. And other students of mine in my MBA program have gotten jobs at Google, McKinsey, the Boston Consulting Group, the private equity sector, the venture capital sector, and on and on and on. I will walk through walls to make sure you reach your career goals. And this brings me to my special announcement. If you've ever wanted to join the Haroun Education MBA program in the past, but you couldn't start in January or you couldn't start last fall, now you can join us in May. Okay, I've got a brand new live MBA program that will be every Monday and Tuesday for 1 year, starting on Monday, May the 1st. And to give you a chance to experience the Haroun MBA Degree Program in action, I'm hosting a live open house on Tuesday, April 11th at 9 a.m. Pacific time, which is 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And everybody who attends the open house with me on Tuesday, April 11th, will receive a free course from me. So just for showing up, you're going to get some of my best stuff. And during this live event, I will talk about the foundational secrets that I humbly believe are crucial for success in today's business environment, and ones that I wish I had known when I was a student in my MBA program at Columbia University 8 million years ago, back in the year 2000. Now, these lessons that I've humbly learned have served me very well in my career. And I've learned them from top executives in the world. And I know they will help change your mindset and set you on a path to serious personal and professional growth. Now, there's no need to register for this event. Just head on over to my YouTube channel now and turn on the notifications so you'll be the first to know when we go live, or you can bookmark this link right here. So mark your calendar for the Haroun Education Open House on Tuesday, April 11th at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, you're going to want to join us live, and I can't wait to see you there, and thank you. All right, our first question is from Tomek, who wrote, an MBA opens doors to many internships in consulting and investment banking. Would active participation in finance or a consulting club on campus or the CFA Institute Research Challenge give me an edge? I would say it helps, but what's more important than that is your position in that club. So I recommend starting a club so it can show your leadership skills. Now, the CFA is actually a great designation to have. And for those of you not familiar with the CFA, it stands for the Certified Financial Analyst designation. It's a 3-year program. You don't attend classes, you just study at night. And what happens is they tell you you have to read a ton of textbooks that are expensive and boring. What you can do instead, and this is what I did, is you can get just a couple of books like this from a company called Schweizer, which is owned by Kaplan, which is owned by the Washington Post, which is owned by Jeff Bezos. And you can actually ace the exam just using these books. Buy them used, go to eBay. You can pay 30 or 40 bucks for all of them. It's a great designation to have. Okay, next question I've got is from Tomek again, who wrote, is there any backdoor to financial roles without a banking internship? What about a paraplanner? Would that be an option? Yeah, for those of you not familiar with paraplanner, I had to look it up recently. It means a very junior entry-level finance role. There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people actually start in the mailroom, and then they move to the trading floor. In fact, some of the best executives in the world started in the mailroom, including the former CEO, Sidney Weinberg of Goldman Sachs. No education, he started in the mailroom. So did Simon Cowell and lots of other people. They networked aggressively, obviously, to get the job of their dreams internally. You can do that. Yeah, absolutely. But you got to set up just a ton of informational meetings. And what I've got right here is a short video that I recorded in front of the Golden Gate Bridge on how to get your dream job. For every job opening you see online, you have literally a 1 in 250 chance of getting that job. And the best way to get a job is by networking, because the person that gets that job ultimately knows somebody at the company. So what I recommend doing is you use LinkedIn and you send in-mails to people, not emails, because everybody checks in-mails. And in the in-mail, what I recommend you do is you target companies you want to work at. And you meet with 10 or 15 people at each company. Now, the best way to get informational meetings by networking over LinkedIn is to send a short message that lists 2 or 3 things you have in common with somebody. For example, let's say I wanted to work at Google and I did an advanced search in LinkedIn and I found people that have a similar background to me. I might send this email with this script. John, hope all is well. I also went to the Toronto French School, which I did. And I also live here in the Bay Area, and I went to McGill University. Please let me know if you have time for a coffee or a quick Zoom meeting. Thanks a lot, Chris. I promise you, people want to help you. And if you do this enough times, I guarantee you, you will get the job of your dreams. Next question I got here is from Chetan. Good morning. Great to see you as always, which is, how do you short a bond as there is no brokerage holding the bonds of the clients? Yeah. So shorting a bond and shorting a stock is very similar. I don't recommend shorting bonds per se. I'd probably want to short a bond ETF if you want to. Make sure it's very liquid though, okay? And make sure that whenever you're going to short a stock or a bond, make sure that the dividend yield is not too high. Because when you short a stock, if the yield is high, you have to actually pay that yield out as well. So let me explain synthetically how a short works from scratch. So this is Coca-Cola, okay, 1 share Coca-Cola. Let's say it's $100 per share, fake money. So the way it works is as follows. Let's pretend that you, Chetan, work at Fidelity and you own Coca-Cola and you never want to sell it. You want to hold it forever. Okay, so this is yours. You have this. So since you never want to sell it, you can make money by lending it to other people. And so what I want to do, I'm a hedge fund, let's say, I want to borrow this share from you. So what I do is I borrow this share of Coke from you and I give you $100. It's yours now, okay? Then what I do is I take this share and, you know, it's mine for a while and I can lend it out to other people. And so what I can do is I can find somebody that wants to borrow this share from me, wants to buy it. So I lend it to somebody else, okay, some other hedge fund or mutual fund, okay, and I lend it to them. It's $100, right? They give me $100, right? And what happens is if Coca-Cola goes down, let's say it goes down 20% if they miss earnings, then it's $80, and I buy it back for $80. Okay, so I just made $20. Then what I do is I return that share to you, okay? And I get my $100 back, so I just made $80. Why would you lend me that share? Because I pay you a fee of say 1% per month. So if I borrow the shares of Coca-Cola from you for 6 months, then I pay you $6 in fees. So instead of me making $20 now, I make $14. Now, Coca-Cola has a dividend yield of close to 3%. So I actually make $14 minus $1.50 roughly. So I make $12.50 on that trade in 6 months, which is 25% annualized return. Now, the risk when it comes to shorting a stock is if the stock goes up, I can lose a ton of money. And you've got to be careful with shorts because they get crowded very fast. And if a stock that you're short does not go down on bad news, then people freak out and they cover their shorts. Now, in January of 2021, what happened was GameStop, ticker GME, one of the meme stocks, it went up 29.4 times in that 1 month. And the reason it did was because a ton of hedge funds were short it. It made a lot of sense because during the pandemic, you're not going to the mall to buy video games. And longer term, we're going to download video games instead of going to the mall to buy them. And so it got crowded very, very fast. And the stock went up 29.4 times in the month of January of 2021 alone. Certain hedge funds went belly up, like Melvin Capital, which was a $2.2 billion hedge fund. Even Michael Jordan, according to people familiar with the matter, lost $500 million on that trade. So you got to be really careful. Now, instead of shorting stocks, what I recommend doing research on first is buying puts. Okay, so here's Coca-Cola again. And let's say I own Coca-Cola and I want to hedge my bets because I think Coke is going down. Or let's say I don't own Coca-Cola and I think it's going to go down anyway. I can buy what's called a put, okay? And if Coke goes down, this goes up. And the most I can lose is what I paid for the put, right? Your losses are not unlimited when you buy a put versus a short. Now, why would you buy a put on Coca-Cola if you own the stock? Well, let's say that you're a very long-term shareholder in Coca-Cola and you don't want to sell it, right? If you sell it, you have to pay taxes. But you're worried in the next 6 months it could go down a lot. You can buy an insurance product called a put. It's like a protective coat on Coke. And what that will do is if Coke goes down, this will go up. And a lot of hedge funds do that in order to mitigate or minimize risk with their positions. Next question is from Chitan, which is, in the past webcast, you showed us how an inverted yield curve signals a recession. Can you show us how a yield curve economic boom looks like? Yeah, absolutely. So there's two medicines. Love my props here. There's two medicines that the government uses to fix the economy. One is called fiscal policy, and the other one is called monetary policy. Fiscal policy means doing stuff that has nothing to do with interest rates to fix the economy. Okay, like for example, building bridges or building highways or increasing taxes, decreasing taxes, etc. Governments can't do this forever though, otherwise they go bankrupt. So there's monetary policy, the policy of money. And what this means is you can increase or decrease interest rates, okay, in order to help the economy. And the way it works is the government will flood the economy with money, okay, when things are not, when times are not good. Okay, so they'll basically flood the market with money, fake money again, by issuing bonds or buying back bonds even. Okay, now in terms of the yield curve will tell us what the market is expecting interest rates to be longer term. And I'll show you an example in a second. So right now, the yield curve implies that rates are higher now, but they're going to go down. And that's scary, okay, because when people expect rates to go down in the future, what that means is people are saying, oh my God, the economy is not going to be good in the future. And whenever you see the yield curve like that, meaning inverted, which it is right now, it almost always implies that we're going into a recession. A recession definition is 2 consecutive quarters of year-over-year negative GDP growth. Currently, GDP growth is about 0.5% per year, but we could be going into recession very, very soon. So let me show you the yield curve currently, and let me talk about a non-inverted yield curve, which is the crux of your question. Okay, so if I just do a search on yield curve right here, okay? If I do a search on yield curve, this here is a typical yield curve right here, okay? And this is dated 2018. Now, in 2018, things were a lot better then than they are right now because rates were, 1.6% or so short term. And longer term, rates were around 3.2%. And this is a normal yield curve that tells us that, hey, rates are going up in the long run. Therefore, the economy is probably going to be doing well to the extent that in the future, the government's going to have to raise rates. But right now, the yield curve is inverted, which looks like this here, okay? Rates are higher now and they're going to be lower in the future, which again, almost always signals a recession is coming. And the way to access this data in real time is you go to treasury.gov, okay, United States Treasury Department website. Then you go to data, and then you go here to yield curve. And what you can do is you can look at the current month's yield curve, apply, okay? And right now we see, as of yesterday, the 1 month yield curve is 4.62%, okay? And the 30-year is 3.5%, which is more than 100 basis points, meaning more than 1% lower, right? And it's terrifying. It kind of signals that, yes, a recession is coming. Now, the yield curve went inverted last year in November. So let me actually go to October of last year, and let me show you here. Okay, so remember, this here is the 1 month. This is the 30-year. The beginning of 2022, rates were basically zero, and they were higher in the long run, which is a more healthy yield curve. And then if we go down here to November, you'll see that the yield curve started to become inverted here. Okay, so again, that signals that a recession is coming. Yeah. Now, if you look at the yield curve of other countries like India, it's not inverted. India has a more healthy yield curve. You know, India's economy is doing relatively well. The amount of imports and exports they have with Russia has increased 400% year over year. Okay. Next up, Prashant from India, who wrote, "Hi Chief, how are you? I'm always great. It warms my heart to see you here. Thank you." You wrote, "Can I join the gold session as well if I can't join the silver session?" Yeah, absolutely. So in order to learn more about the MBA program, just go to my website here, HarounMBA.com, and then what you do is you go to up here, MBA degree FAQs. And you can learn more about it here. And if you're in silver, I think you are, you get a $250 discount as well. Just email support@HarounVentures.com for more details. And thank you. All right, let me go to the next question here. All right, Prashant wrote, "Also, I need help with how to predict future cash inflow if I'm planning to start a new business venture, and it's all together in a new industry I'm planning to enter." Yeah. So what I recommend you do, and I know that you're already in my Silver MBA program, is go to the third semester, okay, E3-1 through E3-5, Entrepreneurship Semester 3, Class 1 through Class 5, and there's the Venture Capital Bootcamp. And I help you with writing a business plan and much more there. And if you're ever curious about what's in the MBA program and how to access all that stuff, just go to my website, HarounMBA.com, click here on Power Search, okay? And then what you do is just search, and it will tell you exactly where in the curriculum all this stuff is, okay? And I've got it sorted here by the Platinum and Gold program that starts on May 1st, okay? And then the Silver program, et cetera. You can scroll down to click through to go to the Venture Capital Bootcamp. Okay, let me go to the next question. All right. All right, next up, Abel. Hey, Abel wrote, "Hey, Chris, hope all is well. Likewise. Any advice for how to grow your mindset?" Yeah. So if you want to get something done, give it to a busy person. And you'll find that when you go on vacation, or at least when I do, I don't even have time to exercise for some reason. So what I recommend doing is planning out each day. And this is one of the many tools or templates I provide you with in my MBA program. But the day before, every day, except for weekends, I want you to schedule the next day. Okay, and if you don't want to buy my MBA program, I've got a free version of this as well. It's a smaller version, but I promise you, you'll accomplish so much more if you do what I'm telling you. So go to this web link here, and it's HarounMBA.com/schedule, all lowercase. Okay, and you can download a daily scheduling PowerPoint file that a lot of my students use. Okay, again, if you want to get something done, give it to a busy person. That was me buying time while it downloads. And in this document here, what you do, and again, this is a stripped down version of the version that's not in my MBA program. Still buying time. Come on, PowerPoint. Here we go. Good. All right. And this will work on LibreOffice as well. But what you do is, and this is an old one, you schedule each day. Okay, your to-dos, all of your, and you could customize this completely. Your to-dos each day. And then at the end of each day, what you do is you score yourself. And I think I'm covering this up in the bottom right-hand corner with my face here. But you score yourself. Did you accomplish everything or not? And for me, and this is personal, you guys can change this. At the end of each day, did I put God first and customers too? Family, did I not surf the internet too much? Did I do weights? And this is more personal stuff right here. Again, go to harounmba.com/schedule to download that. I humbly believe that you'll accomplish a lot more by doing that. Okay. All right. Next up, Abel wrote, do you know what a compliance regulator does for casinos? Yeah. So the best way to understand this is actually watch the movie Casino, Martin Scorsese film from '93, I think, with Robert De Niro in it. And Robert De Niro plays a guy named Sam Rothstein, who kind of heads up the casino and the compliance department of the casino to make sure that no customers are scamming the casino, and also to make sure that no employees are stealing from the casino as well. And they look at a lot of different risk management metrics, including Monte Carlo simulation, which I teach in my MBA program. And that's also a way to value options. All right, moving on to Abel's got another question, which is, at what age should I open my Roth IRA, and how much money should I put in it the first time I open the account? Do you know any website where I can create my Roth IRA account? Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you not familiar with the Roth IRA, it's similar to a 401k, meaning a savings account, except the way it works is you pay taxes first, and then you put the money in. And the limit is just over $6,000 per year. Assuming you make less than 150K or so a year as a single person, or 200K as a married couple. Now, if you're over 50 like me, you can put in $7,000 per year. Now, Peter Thiel, and this is very controversial, but what Peter Thiel did was he has apparently between $5 and $10 billion in his Roth IRA. And that means that he doesn't have to pay taxes on that. And the way he apparently set this up was when he was the CEO, one of the founders or first investors of Facebook, and one of the first investors in Palantir. He took the shares when it was private, those two companies, and it was like, 0.001 cent per share. And he put it in his Roth IRA and paid taxes first. Right, so it's kind of controversial. There are a lot of rules when it comes to that as well. In terms of what age, there's no age limit. You can get them for your kids if you want to. And what I also recommend that you do for your children, and this is what I did for my kids the second they were born, is I opened up a 529, which is an educational savings account. You can put about 15K per year in for your kids' education. If you do that over 18 years and you max out 15 or 16K, and all you do is you invest it in the S&P 500 index fund, which is VOO. The S&P 500 is up 10% on average every year. Then in 18 years, that 15K or so per year is close to $700,000 or $800,000 per kid. Okay, and that's similar to a 401k because you pay taxes when you take that money out, unless you're using it for educational purposes. And so my son Andrew, he's older now, he's 18, he's at Berkeley University, close to where I live, and so he's taking money out of that to pay for college tax-free. Now, in terms of how do you set up a Roth IRA, what I recommend doing is you can check out Robinhood if you want to. Okay, so Robinhood actually has got this really good policy where every penny you put in, they'll put in 1% more. So if you put 6K in, they'll actually give you an additional 60 bucks per year. You can also look at Fidelity's website and Schwab's website as well. But what I recommend for everybody in this call is please don't ever do your own taxes. I want you to get an accountant to do your taxes for you, because I promise you there's a good chance they can get you money back, because the tax laws change all the time. And you can ask, final thing is you can ask your accountant, how do you structure and set up a Roth IRA? Yeah. All right. Next up, we got the Berlin, who graduated from my Gold program like a year or two ago. He's from San Bernardino, California. Who wrote, "Good morning, Chris, and everyone here. Great to see you." Next up, we have Manas from India. Great to see you. Manas wrote, "Good morning, my dear mentor. Hope all is well. Likewise, and congratulations on all the success you've had on Udemy with your courses." Manas wrote, "Welcome back to the 224th episode of the webcast. It sounds crazy. I'm welcoming you in your own show, but your absence last week caused a lot of trouble in the world. No, thank you. I was on vacation last week. I was in the Bahamas with Christine, my wife, and my kids. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, good to see you. Dude, we're coming up on our 5-year anniversary of doing this call. Wow, amazing. Okay. The Berlin wrote, total deposits in the United States banks are down a record $1 trillion. A lot went to money market funds, which just hit a record high. You make 0.3% with a bank account compared to making 5%. Is that right? In a money market fund. Can you explain money market funds? Absolutely. And I think the crux of your question is similar to what you asked 2 weeks ago when you were asking about Ken Griffin, who said that American consumers are going to run out of their savings by year end. Ken Griffin is the founder of Citadel. I worked for his firm for 2 years. He's a brilliant man, and his hedge fund, Citadel, was up $16 billion last year, which outpaced every hedge fund by a factor of 2 at least. It was unbelievable. Yeah. Now, the way it works is a money market account is very similar to a savings account, except the interest rate, as you mentioned there, is higher. But there are stipulations. Like sometimes you have to have a minimum amount of money in a money market account, and sometimes it can be locked up. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, we have Glow. How are you? Which is the ticker for Corning, a GLW that is. You wrote a question for you, Chris. Sure. Say if someone without much experience of mergers and acquisition spots an MBO opportunity. MBO stands for management buyout. In your opinion, what are the first steps they should take? Yeah. So if you, and there's a great book I want you to read, which covers what an MBO is with a real case study. It's called Barbarians at the Gate. And what happened was the management of the National Biscuit Company in the late 80s, that's Nabisco. They partnered with a private equity firm called KKR, Henry Kravis's firm. I've met him before. He went to the same school as I did. Smart guy, unlike me. They partner with KKR. So I would not do it yourself. I would partner with another firm, a private equity firm that can help you to get the financing to do that. Yeah. And if anybody wants to learn more about private equity, you can watch a movie called OPM, which is Other People's Money with Danny DeVito. It's an oldie, but a goodie. But the bottom line is you want to partner with an existing private equity firm. Okay. All right, next up, we got Manas, who wrote, my mentor, Chris, please. I'm starting a new venture here in India. Cool. It's related to teaching. I'm a little bit afraid of this leap, but deep inside me, I know 5 years from now, I'll cherish this moment. I need your blessing. Yeah, no, please. So what I recommend doing is to write a business plan first. And here's a very short video on how to start a company. Failing to plan is planning to fail. Before you start a company, you have to write a thorough business plan, which I teach in my courses. In order to raise capital, you also have to have a 10-page presentation to show investors. Now, the best model online to use for this is the Airbnb pitch deck. Just search for it online. It's about 10 pages. Don't have more than 3 bullet points per slide. And make sure to talk about your management team first, because that's what they're investing in, you first and the company second. And on the other slides, talk about the size of the market, the problem with the market, the solution your product or service has for that market, a couple of metrics, financial metrics that is, as well as your product roadmap, and then your contact details on the last page. And I recommend networking using LinkedIn to find high net worth investors to meet with initially, because the sales cycle is quite short compared to the venture capital industry. Keep at it. If you send enough emails, I promise you, you will be able to raise capital over time. All right, next question we've got is from Manas, who wrote, how is Ruby, my cat, doing? She's 2 or 3 years old now. Yeah, she's great. We have another cat now as well. And then you wrote, how is Andrew doing in college? He started business education. Yeah, he transitioned from engineering now to business. Yeah, no, thank you for asking. He's doing great. He's doing great. He's getting good grades. He takes after my wife, obviously, but he's happy, and thank you for asking. Yeah. Okay. Next up, we've got the Berlin from San Bernardino, California, who wrote here. Give me 1 second, guys. It jumps on me sometimes. Here we go. Vanguard, which is number 1 ETF company on the planet. Don't ever buy mutual funds, only buy ETFs because mutual funds are ripoff. So Vanguard has a new savings account option with 4.25%, and FDIC coverage up to $250,000. The account has $0 fees, zero minimum balance requirements, zero transaction fees, and zero limits. Wow, that's great, man. I didn't realize that. Thank you. And I will look into that. I think everybody else should look into that as well. I'm going to take a screen print. Thank you for that. Okay. And then you wrote here, how often Romney can be transferred. Romney. Yeah, I'm not sure what that means. I'm sorry. I know Mitt Romney, but yeah. Okay, Manas wrote, Finland got into NATO. I saw that 2 days ago. Yeah. It shares a 1,100 kilometer border with Russia. And this massively increased the land mass we have just in case Russia decides to do something to Europe. God forbid they do that. Yeah. And then you wrote, will this be an escalation of something bigger? I don't think so. I think everything will still remain in check. My biggest concern, and I fault the Biden administration and the Trump administration for this, and hindsight's 2020, is pulling out of Afghanistan. It left a power vacuum. So the United States had troops in Afghanistan for decades, during the previous Cold War especially, which kind of kept the Soviet Union at that point in check. So yeah, we're definitely seeing a bit of a balance and power shift from US dollar denominated assets to the Chinese yuan. And it's fascinating because Saudi Arabia and Iran just announced that they're going to step up their trade significantly. And the peace broker in that was China. So China's kind of playing the role of a Jimmy Carter, so to speak. I don't know if that's the best analogy to use. But longer term, what this implies is that the U.S. dollar might not be as dominant. I still think the U.S. dollar is going to be the reserve currency of the world. Once people start calculating a discounted cash flow analysis using the renminbi as a risk-free rate instead of using U.S. dollar, then I'd start to get worried about the balance of power shift. But for now, I'm not too concerned about that. Yeah. Okay. All right. And then Manas wrote, you said day trading is not so cool, but don't you think futures trading, options trading fall under the same umbrella? So it's a great question. Day trading, you'll lose a lot of money fast, I promise you. There's no successful day traders out there, otherwise we know their names. But when it comes to options in futures, I use it mainly as protection. Okay, so a great example of this is Southwest. So Southwest Airlines back in 2003, they realized, well, they knew for years, obviously, that a very large percent of their expenses was from the price of oil. And so in 2003, Southwest CFO, he used futures contracts to hedge the price of oil at $30 a barrel for the next decade or so. And what happened was the price of oil went up to $150 per barrel in the summer of 2008 during the super cycle. And Southwest then cut prices, right? It was predatory. They were only paying $30 per barrel because they hedged using futures. And that and other factors forced other U.S. airlines to go into bankruptcy. So I think it's prudent to use futures contract if you're a big company to hedge your commodity exposure. And I think it's prudent if you're a hedge fund or a sophisticated investor, unlike me, to use options as well to hedge your positions. And when I used to work in the hedge fund industry, I didn't want my competition to know that I sold certain stocks. And by law, every 3 months, if you manage more than $100 million, which I humbly did, you have to disclose what you own. So instead of me selling a stock, right, which could move the market, what I used to do was leave the stock as is for certain reasons. You can ask me why if you want. And I would buy a put to protect me over several months. Yeah. All right. Next up, the Berlin wrote, I went to the big branch bank yesterday and was told by one of them, they're looking for money. They want people to deposit money is going elsewhere. Yeah. Yeah, I think for mid-cap banks and smaller banks, it's definitely happening. If I had a company right now in the United States, I would probably want to use a big bank because big banks are too big to fail. Now, what the U.S. government did a couple of weekends ago was they kind of increased confidence in the financial markets in the United States by sort of rescuing SVB and other mid-cap banks as well. right? There's only so much money to go around. So I recommend using a large bank, especially if you have more than 250K in your account. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Manas wrote, the SEC is suing Binance for a bunch of stuff, and the CEO, because he's being sued as well. Will it end Binance, and will it push Web3 companies away from the United States? Yeah, I haven't heard people mention Web3 in a while, or the metaverse. Metaverse, M-E-H, Taverse, yeah. So, I mean, Binance it's still the largest crypto exchange. I'd be surprised if it went belly up, but who knows at this point. I do think that the United States Securities and Exchange Commission very soon is going to regulate cryptocurrencies. And that's a good thing for cryptocurrency investors as well, because before you invest in an IPO, like Meta, what you have to do is investment bankers have to file this massive report. It's called an S1. Okay, and it outlines all the risks with investing in IPOs. I would love to see this for cryptos as well, aside from just a white paper. Yeah, and I think government regulation is a good thing for cryptos in the long run. Okay. Next up, Manas wrote, the 45th president of USA is facing a backlash and charges first in history. Will he be back in office 2024, or will Biden get another term? I just want to ask because the USA decides the world's fate now. Yeah. Oof. I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen. I get access to the same news that all of you get as well. It's between him and DeSantis, I guess. Yeah. And it's between Biden and Kennedy now as well, which is interesting. Yeah. Okay. I just want peace. That's all. Yeah. And then Manas wrote, one thing you like about Canada and the other thing you hate about Canada. Oh, God. I love the people. I don't know, it's just kind of, I also love the free healthcare. I don't really hate anything about Canada. I used to hate the weather, but I love the weather now in Canada because I live in the Bay Area and it never snows here, but I think seasonal change is a good thing because you got something to look forward to all the time. Yeah. I love my Canada, my people. Okay. Manas wrote, the stock market is behaving like never before. Tesla is at 210. Maybe everything is suddenly up and up. Why is it? And will it continue? OPEC just cut. Yeah. So what's happening with the markets now is, so the Federal Reserve, they only raised interest rates by 0.25% last time. And that was a big slowdown. And they're kind of signaling that maybe because the economy is slowing and because of the mid-cap banking crisis, they might start cutting interest rates by year end. We don't know yet. Now, when the government raises interest rates, it usually takes 12 to 18 months before it impacts the economy. The economy is definitely slowing down right now. GDP growth is about 0.5% year over year. It's slowing materially. And so if the government is going to cut rates, what that means is people are going to want to invest in more risky asset classes. And that's why tech stocks have started to rebound recently. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, in terms of what is the Fed going to do next, I think the Fed probably raises it at least another 25 basis points. Yeah. Okay. But a lot of it depends on unemployment as well. And the weekly jobless claims came out this morning. I didn't see them. But what the government wants to see is unemployment increasing, right? Because when unemployment increases, what that means is prices for goods come down. Because any product you're making, the biggest expense for any product is always the price of labor. Yeah. And I had a great economist on my webcast 2 weeks ago. He was amazing. Mahmoud is his name. And he said that there are structural issues with unemployment in the United States because every single week, this is staggering, every week in the United States, 100,000 baby boomers retire. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Manas wrote, what price did you buy your first Bitcoin and Ripple? And in which month you decided to go all in on cryptos and tokens? Yeah, I never went all in. I've always had a pretty good conservative risk management. I never put more than 5% of my liquid net worth in cryptos. I don't recommend anybody do that. In fact, if you're going to put 5% of your net worth in cryptos, don't put more than 0.5% in any one cryptocurrency. I first invested a bunch in Bitcoin back in 2013 when I worked in venture capital. I'm never selling. Yeah. But I still think most cryptos are a scam. That's why I'm all for regulation. Okay, next up, Leroy. Hey, Leroy, how are you? First time I've seen you on the call. I hope you join us again. You wrote, my man Chris teaching us advanced Excel while teaching us how to learn things like an MBA or personal finance course. Thank you for that. No, I appreciate that. Yeah, and for anybody in my MBA degree program, don't buy the Excel course because you get it for free. And the way to get it for free is you go to HarounMBA.com and up here click on Power Search and Excel course. And then right here, you'll jump to exactly where in your curriculum, okay, the Excel stuff is. Yeah. And of course, I teach programming as well in that course. And I used to be a programmer at Accenture years ago. Yeah. I love coding. It's fun. And then Jinkun wrote, nice work. Thank you. Appreciate that. Moving on to John, who wrote, Chris, have you heard of quiet layoffs? I have. Yeah. Quiet. Yeah. Yeah. My friend told me, I shouldn't joke about that, told me some companies give bad ratings to good performers, then use performance issue as the legitimate excuse to fire employees. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I will give you a tip on how to materially decrease the chances that you'll get let go. So what I recommend doing is every 3 months, sit down with your boss and ask your boss for feedback, okay? And basically say, I'm proud to be a member of this team. We've accomplished a lot together. Yada yada yada. Can you please let me know what additional value I can add to our team? Okay. Or you can phrase it this way, if true. As you know, it's very expensive for me to raise a family here where I live. I want to provide as much as I can to my growing family. Please let me know what do I need to accomplish humbly in order to be considered for a promotion or a raise. If you ask for feedback quite often, then the probability of you being blindsided goes down materially as well. Yeah. And then next up, Manas wrote, BRICS, meaning Brazil, Russia, India, China. BRICS have developed a new currency to trade. That means 1/3 of the world population will not use the dollar anymore. Why is that? And why are countries moving away from the dollar? Yeah, so United States printed too much currency during the pandemic, right? And we all know that cash is trash. And there's a lot of foreign investors that own a lot of U.S. Treasuries. And so the United States has a lot of power right now. I still think the United States dollar, fake money here, but the United States dollar is kind of monopoly in terms of safe currencies to invest in. And I believe it's still the case and will be for a while, that the last company to go belly up, so to speak, in the world is the United States government. And that's why the risk-free rate that we use to value companies is still the US dollar. But what China is doing, which is smart, is they're trying to shift the balance of power from the dollar to the yuan. Okay, and it's happening faster than anybody had expected. And so what's happening, of course, is, there's been a lot of rumors that OPEC is going to sell maybe in yuan or euros. And what's happening is China has increased its relationship with Russia, also South Africa, which was surprising, okay, as well as many countries in the Middle East. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Keith wrote, good evening, Chris. How are you? Good to see you. I'm working on upskilling myself in finance and investing. Awesome. I'm a long-term mindset-oriented person. I want to start a small investing business for myself, managing my small money. Any advice, please? Yeah. So if you want to manage money for yourself and for others, what I recommend you do is talk to a lawyer in order to set up investment offering memorandums and what are called subscription documents. If you want, I can introduce you to my securities lawyer that I use to set up my onshore and offshore hedge fund. Just send me an email to support@harounventures.com. Please make sure you hire a lawyer first so that you are protected. Yeah, and register the company as well. And for those of you that want to start a company, I don't recommend doing it without registering a company first. Go to LegalZoom.com. I'm not sponsored by them, but it's the cheapest way to get access to a lawyer to register your company so that you're protected. Yeah, because when you're successful, people will come after you. And you know you're successful when they come after you. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And then Manas wrote, what Ray Dalio said, like peak of an empire. Oh, yeah. With his book. He's talking about the U.S. empire is in decline. That's his opinion. Ray Dalio is the founder of Bridgewater, which is the largest hedge fund in the world in Connecticut. It's a hard place to work at, man. I'm fully transparent with all of you, as you know. I have friends that are very senior executives there. They hate it because the annual turnover of employees is close to 40%. And also, every single meeting at Bridgewater is recorded, except in the bathroom. Right? Talking about living in fear. Yeah, I don't think that's a good way to manage people, but his performance is good. All right, moving on to Keith, who wrote, would you recommend a rookie like me to start using derivatives to hedge risk? Keith, if you're going to do it, I recommend, and if you're in my MBA program, go to FA44, that's Finance and Accounting Semester 4, Class 4, because I have a 30-hour elective on portfolio management and hedging derivatives, etc. But if you're going to do it, I recommend, please, practicing for at least 6 months, okay, buying puts and buying calls. And the best way to do it is to use a free software product from the Toronto Dominion Bank, and it's called TD. It's called Thinkorswim. Yeah, I had a senior moment there. It's called Thinkorswim. Download the product because you can run a paper or fake portfolio, okay, and practice options that way. Now, if you're not in the United States and you can't get access to it, then use a VPN. My VPN that I use is called ExpressVPN, which my favorite vlogger, Marquise Brownlee, mentioned. So I use it. I recommend using that one as well, please. Yeah. And if you're going to invest in options, please practice for 6 months at least. And please only buy puts and buy calls. Don't sell them, meaning don't underwrite them. Okay, underwriting, because your losses can be unlimited. Very dangerous. Yeah. Okay. All right, next up we got Alex P. From Utah. Great to see you. It's been a couple of weeks. You wrote, Chris, good morning. Good morning to you too. I'm not sure if you've been following, but it has been snowmageddon here in Utah. Record-breaking snow here, but there is a concern for flooding. Yeah, the weather patterns are bizarre, man. We've had so much rain here in the Bay Area. I actually had to buy this special tube on my driveway, so if the rain goes down, 'cause I live on a big hill, I got a big plot of land here, so the rain comes down, and it's pushed off to the side. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Yeah, that's good for snowbird, for skiing there, right? Okay. Next up, Eric. Hey, Eric, and Eric, thank you for subscribing to my YouTube channel. I see the trophy beside your name there. I hope you're enjoying those courses. You wrote, hi, Chris. I've met with 3 people so far, and it went well. They kept asking me, why don't I have a degree? Should I finish school? I won't graduate until 2025. Yeah. So in terms of do you need a university degree, here's a 33-second video that I recorded in front of the San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge on that topic. Many companies don't require a university degree anymore to get a job there. You know, companies like Google, IBM, Wells Fargo, and many more. And so before considering getting a business degree at university, I recommend setting up at least 50, that's right, 50 networking meetings using LinkedIn InMails. And if you still can't get that coveted job after networking, then consider doing an MBA. And please remember that your network is your net worth, and relationships are always more important than product knowledge. Sorry for that pause there. Hold on a second. Yeah. All right. Next question I've got is this is fun. Is from Ron. Ron wrote, can we purchase leaps for buying a put if there's such a concept which is similar to a leaps call? Yeah, absolutely. So a leaps is basically you buy an option, a put or a call, but instead of it expiring within a couple months, it expires in 1 to 3 years. Yes, you can do that as well, but you got to make sure that they're liquid. So let me show you an example of that very quickly. And the way to know if a company has options is you go here to the free finance.yahoo.com website. You enter in the ticker. Come on. You enter in the ticker, and if you see an options data, then you can. But you want to make sure they're liquid. So here, Coca-Cola, right here, when you see options, if you click this and you see a listing of options, then yes, you can. Okay, so for example, if we go 2 years out roughly for Coca-Cola, and we go all the way down here to puts. Okay, let's see here. calls, puts. Yeah. So these here are leaps. These are in the money and out of the money. Again, go to FA44, my MBA program, for more details on that. You can do that. Yeah. Okay. Make sure they're liquid, though. Okay. All right. Next up, Nathan wrote, currently over 25% returns per year on working investments as regular stock trading without derivatives. Thoughts on combining my current strategy with leaps as well as pairing with options? Yeah. So in my MBA degree program, if you go to FA44, that's a 30-hour elective, Finance and Accounting, Semester 4, Class 4, I tell you how to use 35 different option strategies, which might answer your question as well. Yeah. Okay, Caroline from France, but who lives in Ontario, Canada, in my silver program wrote, "Hi, Chris. Nice to have you back. Good to have you back as well. I hope your cats, Mimi and Mumu, are doing well." We have 2 cats now as well. I love cats. Radu, how are you? Radu is in my Platinum MBA. He's got a heart of gold, smart guy. He lives in Romania. Great to see you. You wrote, "Hi, Chris. Hi, everyone. Hope I'll be able to join the Platinum Zoom call later today." It's at 11:20. Yeah. P.S. I got a Books Ultra, and I'm trying to get used to writing my schedule there over the PDF template and adapt it to my specifics. Awesome. Yeah, there's a PDF version of this. There's also a OneNote version of this. Just go to the personal growth part of the MBA program the first semester to download it. Yeah, thank you. Good to see you, buddy. And then you wrote, "I'm trying to do the daily dashboard in Google Sheets over Books, this thing. Handwriting will translate to normal text and will also be searchable and do stats at the end of the year. I'll try options until I find one that I'll use." Awesome. And share it with me, please. I want to see how you're using it as well. Moving on to M&M, who wrote, "Thank you, sir, Chris, please, for imparting knowledge and your presentation and your MBA. Thank you. It's 100% worth attending for anyone seeking knowledge." Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, moving on to Leroy, who wrote, "From working a government job," he's right, "we were told not to memorize SOPs as they can change all the time." Yeah. If you're referring to an accountant and regulatory rules, don't anybody do your own taxes, please. Always hire an accountant. Doing your own taxes is like doing surgery on yourself because the tax code changes all the time. That's why the accounting profession exists. Yeah. And you'll be amazed the write-offs you can get as well. And a good accountant will, of course, keep you in the confines of not doing anything illegal. Now, in terms of how to find an accountant, the best way, there's no Yelp for accountants. The best way is to just ask your successful friends or family members who they use, and they'll recommend them to you. Yeah. And if you start a company, get the accountant, if you can, to do your personal and business taxes as well. Yeah. Okay. Next up, M&M wrote, "India, China, and Saudi Arabia, and many other countries have succeeded with their local currency for their trade with each other. India succeeded with 20 countries, including Germany and Saudi Arabia. Same with China. What is the future of the fiat, fiat meaning US dollar, the fiat US dollar as global reserve currency for global trade in the next 10 years, considering the $1 trillion debt the USA has?" Yeah. In my entire life, I've never seen a balance of power shift going from US dollar to other currencies. We thought it might have happened back in the late 90s with the euro. It didn't work out. But I think it's slowly starting to happen with the yuan, the Chinese yuan. Yeah. Very, very slowly. Yeah. But I do believe that, and please do your own research, but I think that gold is one of the best investments you can make right now, right? Because if you think about it, you're not sure which currency is going to win the long run. This is a good, safe asset to have. And the Chinese government is buying tons of this stuff as well. This is fake. And these are the 6 pillars of my MBA degree program, which I'm using on a webcast next week, which you can see in that black box below for more details. Yeah. I own gold. Okay. Next up, we have Steve. Hey, Steve. Wrote, "Good morning, Chris. Good morning to you, too. Please do advise how to refinancing now, bearing in mind that experts are saying that the real estate is going to crash soon." Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Where I live, real estate prices have come down 10% across the board. It's tough. My gut is longer term rates are going to go down even more. And so in terms of refinancing, I don't recommend doing it right now. That's just me, though. Yeah. Okay. But it is the best investment you can make ever, your own house. Because if you spend $600 a month on rent every month for like 50 years, if you own a house instead or just invested in the S&P 500, you would have over $10 million. Run the math in Excel, you'll see it's true. Use the MPV function. Okay. And then Steve wrote, my rate is less than 3%. When I got my mortgage, that's a pretty good rate, man. Yeah. I hope you locked in for a long time. You wrote, my equity is about 150, or I opt for home equity loan, question mark. Yeah. Yeah, I don't recommend taking on more debt. I think I would stick with that rate you have currently. Yeah. Okay. Alex P. from Utah wrote, I heard Miami, Florida is very crypto-friendly city. Do you know any cities domestically in the United States or other cities internationally that are more crypto-friendly? Yeah, well, I would look at the cost per kilowatt hour of electricity. Because the lower the cost, the more crypto-friendly a region might be in terms of mining yourself. Make sure that the cost per kilowatt hour is less than 10 cents, which I don't know if it's that low in any state. Maybe Kentucky right now. I'm not sure. Yeah. But what's happening with Florida is it is morphing into the second biggest financial market in the United States. And so, the taxes are quite low there. A lot of hedge funds are moving there as well. A lot of banks, their headquarters. Citadel, big hedge fund I used to work at, their headquarters were in Chicago, but Ken Griffin picked up and moved the whole company to Florida, which is where he's from anyway. Florida is going to be a powerhouse from a financial services perspective. I'm always looking at Florida real estate as well. I think it's a great long-term investment. Yeah. And I was there actually last week for a day and a half visiting my parents in Fort Lauderdale, and we looked at a lot of real estate there as well. Yeah. Prices aren't low enough yet, though. Yeah. Okay. All right. And then Peyton Kalawahea, who goes by Web3 Gaming. Great to see you. I think that's you, Peyton. Let me know if it's not. You wrote, always use protection, folks. Yeah, this kind of protection. Yeah. Okay. Prashant from India wrote, first time in my life, I wrote a letter to an investor relationship team of Adani. Nice. And trust me, they reverted with all the information I requested for. Thanks for this confidence again. I love it. I love it. And every big company has an investor relations department. Just do a search for the company name and investor relations, and you can always ask them. That's what they're there for. They're there to serve you, the shareholder or potential shareholder. You can always ask them to send you all financial documents. Yeah. And if you want more details on that, let me know, and I'll show you exactly how it works. Yeah. All right. Speaking of Florida, we have Eric from Sarasota, Florida, who wrote, who's in my Gold MBA. Wrote, how will global companies deal with a new trade currency? Yeah. Oof. I don't know at this point. I know it's something that the State Department of the United States is very worried about, to the extent that yesterday they mentioned that they want more U.S. companies to be doing business in Africa, because Africa is the final frontier from a commodities perspective. But it's definitely a big threat. Yeah. Right now, I still think the U.S. dollar is a reserve currency. My gut is for the rest of my life, it still will be. But you're starting to see some shifts from a global power perspective from the United States to China. Yeah. Okay, next up, the Berlin from San Bernardino, California wrote, Chris, I meant to write how often money can be transferred instead of roaming. I was at the gym the moment I was writing this. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. So I remember earlier today you asked about the difference between a savings account and a money market account. If you use a money market account, your money can be locked up for a longer period of time, and you might have to have a minimum balance as well. And with a money market account, you can usually write checks, unlike with a savings account. Yeah. If that didn't answer your question, please let me know. Thank you. All right. Moving on to Michael Hay. Hello from Scotland. Great to see you. Great. I think I have a little bit of Scottish in me on my mom's side. Yeah. You wrote, is investing in an S&P 500 ETF better than the likes of Fundsmith equity fund? I'm not familiar with Fundsmith, but my go-to ETF that I put a lot of money in, humbly, whenever I want to get exposure to the markets without doing much research on individual companies, is the VOO. Okay, so ticker VOO. Do your own research first, okay? So the fees are low. It's like 0.01% per year. That means a penny in fees per every $100 you put in per year. Is very, very, very low. If you look here, it's very liquid as well. You want to make sure it's liquid so you can get in and out if need be. And if you look at the holdings here, it's just the 12 sectors of the S&P 500. Technology is growing. Look at that, man. Wow. In the past 2 weeks, tech has gone from 23% of the S&P 500 to 25% almost, as tech stocks are recovering right now. Now, the United States government rescued Silicon Valley Bank, in my humble opinion, because the engine of growth in the United States, for obvious reasons, is technology. Yeah, and I'd hate to be working in VC right now. I'm glad I cashed out of all my VC investments. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, we have Prashant, who wrote, "Trust me. I lost huge money on the recommendations of my broker in the stock market." Yeah. Always do your own research. Don't rely on me or anybody. I pride myself on providing you with all the tools you need to make the right investment decisions. But instead of providing you with a fish, I humbly teach you how to fish as well. Nobody is smarter than you. Always do your own research. Yeah. Okay. And then next up, Peyton, I believe, who's Web3 Gaming, wrote, "Make sure you're taking a look at." Hold on a second. Make sure you're taking a look at NFT gaming Dapper Labs, where they're possibly naming NFTs as securities. It would be a huge hit to NFTs in gaming. Watching it closely. Thank you for that. Yeah. It's amazing how nobody talks about NFTs anymore, as interest rates have gone up a lot over the past year, as I mentioned earlier on in this call when we went to treasury.gov. As interest rates go up, people don't want to invest in risky asset classes like NFTs or Web 3.0, yeah, or cryptos. Okay. Next up, we have Michael from Scotland, who wrote, "When looking for buying target price, do you use the 50 and 200-day moving average?" Yeah, I use the 50 and 200-day moving average for technical support or resistance levels after I've analyzed the fundamentals of the company in the long run, okay, as well as the valuation in the long run. And I'll show you how I do my technical analysis in a second. Be really, really careful with day trading, though. I want you to be long-term focused. Here's a short video I made on why day trading does not work. I say this with love in my heart. Please be a long-term investor. It's so hard to make money on a short-term basis because stocks go up and down in a short period of time for geopolitical reasons or reasons outside of our control, and we're fooled by randomness. You got to think long-term. Like Warren Buffett, when he invests, he assumes that the market will be closed for 10 years after he buys the stock. Of course, he knows the market's not going to be closed for 10 years. But when he invested in Coca-Cola back in the 80s, and he still owns it today, he didn't care about the near-term volatility in the markets. All he cared about was his long-term target price in the company. The longer the view, the wiser the intention. Please think long-term. You'll sleep better at night as well because you don't have to worry about volatility. You don't care about the path. You just care about the destination of the stock price longer term. All right, so after I look at fundamentals and valuation, from a technical analysis perspective, I'll type, I guess, Tesla. What I do look at from a tech analysis perspective is the RSI and the 50 and 200-day moving average per your question there. Let me show you here with a chart, for example. Okay, and I'm going to get rid of my face in the corner so you can see a little bit better here. Okay, here we go. Good. Okay. All right. So what I do is when a stock is, so down at the bottom here, we have the relative strength index. And if you can't see it when you go to Yahoo Finance, click here on indicators and add the relative strength index. Okay. So when a stock has an RSI of 80, sometimes I take profits, right? Sometimes if it's close to my target price. And when a stock has an RSI of close to 20 or 30-ish, whatever, that's when I'll start to buy, right? It just means it's oversold. In terms of moving averages, I usually do look at the 50-day, we'll make it purple, and I look at the 200-day moving average as well. 200, we'll make the 200-day moving average black. Okay, good. Yeah, so I look at both these indicators here. What sometimes scares me, just from a tech perspective, is when the 50-day crosses down through the 200-day. It's called a death cross, so to speak. But not all charts hold their moving averages perfectly. So right here, we can see with Tesla back in 2020, it was holding the 50-day nicely, the purple line. And then it started to break down, and it caused a lot of short-term investors to sell. This is now a resistance level, yada, yada, yada. Some of it is voodoo, to be intellectually honest, which is why I always recommend looking at fundamentals first, valuation second, then technicals a distant third. Yeah. Okay. Oh, cool. So Web3 gaming is Peyton. So Peyton Kalawahea, great to see you. Peyton graduated from my Platinum program a couple of years ago. He proudly served in the United States Navy doing surface warfare. And then he now transitioned he moved from San Diego to Oklahoma. Yeah. Hope you're doing well. He now works in the gaming sector. Yeah. I sent you a link about NFT securities for NBA Top Shot on LinkedIn from Peyton. Thank you. I am a huge baseball card collector, not basketball as much, but I do love baseball card NFTs. Yeah. Okay. Great to see you, brother. I hope you, Hannah, and the kids are doing well. Okay. Next up, we have Prashant from India who wrote, do you have any plan to add an emotional intelligence course as well in your MBA program? Yeah. I think a lot of that stuff is already in there with different names. It's in the personal growth track. But I'm working on something right now, which is body language when presenting, right? And I might be adding that to the MBA program. I'm not sure. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. What is a green shoe when a company issues an IPO? Yeah. So when a company goes public, they usually list the number of shares, the range of shares that they're going to be selling to the public. Okay. Now, if the deal is massively oversubscribed, what they can do is they can add more shares to it as well, right? And the investment banking syndicate led by Equity Capital Markets, which stands on the ethical wall, they decide based on demand for an IPO whether or not to issue additional shares. And usually it's about 10 or 15% more than the number of shares the company was willing to sell in the first place. But you got to make sure that demand is red hot for the deal. If this call is helpful so far, I've been doing this for 5 years, please click the like button and thank you. Okay. All right, next up, Michael wrote, what's the best bit of advice you have for finding and picking stocks that will increase your wealth? Yeah, just be very, very long-term focused. The longer the view, the wiser the intention. Warren Buffett was interviewed recently about Coca-Cola, and he said, if you bought Coca-Cola stock in like 1918 or whatever it was, when Coke went public, you'd be down 50% in 1 year, right? The stock went down 50%, but you'd be up a gazillion percent in the long run. And so what I love to do when I think about investing, and I provide you with all the tools and templates in my MBA program to do this, what I love to do is I love to ask myself this one question. In 5 years, will this company or the sector it is in be more relevant or less relevant than it is today? And that helps me avoid getting seduced by value traps. Like, for example, with Yahoo, years ago, Yahoo stock was trading at, pretty low level. You could have asked yourself, in 5 years, will people be using more Google for searches or more Yahoo? Yeah. Same thing with research in motion. In January 2007, when Steve Jobs did that presentation to announce the iPhone, you could have asked yourself at that point in time, in 5 years, will RIM, Research in Motion, BlackBerry, my beloved Canadian BlackBerry company, be more relevant or less relevant than it is today? And that will stop you, again, from being seduced by value traps. Yeah. Think long term, always. Okay, and for those of you in my MBA program, go to EMS 4-2, where I have the 100-step template on how to invest by looking at fundamentals, valuation, and technicals. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Manas wrote, what happens when oil prices go up and with OPEC putting a limit on oil supply, will it cause more inflation in the world economy? Yeah, there's a careful balance these countries have to think about in OPEC. If they produce too much supply, then prices go down, right? They have to look at demand very, very closely. Yeah. But it's one of the reasons why we have ridiculous inflation globally, because in February 2022, when Putin invaded Ukraine, people realize, oh my goodness, Russia has too much control over commodity prices, especially natty gas and oil. In fact, Vladimir Putin, a lot of people don't realize this, but when he was in university, he did a geology degree, and his thesis was what would happen in the long run to the USSR at that point in time if they controlled the bulk of natty gas and oil, Gazprom, Lukoil, etc. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We would have had a soft landing for the economy if I humbly believe if that unfortunate event didn't occur with Putin invading Ukraine. Okay. But it's interesting because, here in the United States, we think that, oh my God, the whole world is against Russia. But the reality is, it's really just North America, Europe, Australia, New Zealand. Yeah. I hope we have peace. Okay. All right. Next up, Prashant, thank you for that donation. God bless you. That will go to Project Magoo. Thank you for that. And I'm going to be doing this webcast from the school I built and I funded in Rwanda in July of this year. Should be fun. Yeah. But Prashant wrote, my like button for all your hard work you're doing for society. God bless you. Thank you, Prashant. Appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. Next up, Manas wrote, thank you for everything, my mentor. God bless you and your family forever. See you next week and forever. And thank you for all those emojis. Namaste. God bless you and all that great stuff. Thank you for that. Okay. And then Manas wrote, Congress is going to ban TikTok. I don't know yet. As per people familiar with the matter, will actually destroy millions of American businesses on TikTok. What are your humble thoughts? Yeah, I don't really know of anybody or many people that make a lot of money on TikTok. I started doing it more recently. My guy Jean-Marc Lubiana in Toronto is amazing. He does all this stuff for me. And we started getting like 400,000 or 500,000 views on each TikTok, but you don't make any money from it. You don't. So I don't think it's going to have an impact on the economy at all. I'd be surprised if it was banned. I saw the testimony from the CEO in front of Congress a couple of weeks ago, and I don't think it's going to happen. Yeah. But I do understand the risk, and I do believe that governments should not allow government employees to use TikTok while at work or on government devices. And that's why the United States, as well as Australia recently, made it against the law for government employees to use TikTok. Yeah. And when I use TikTok, I never watch from my account. I have a VPN here as well. And I just do it that way. Yeah. I'll search for Dave Chappelle stand-up and laugh so hard until it hurts. I watch actually TikTok in between sets at the gym. Yeah. Okay. But I think there should be some restrictions with it as well, because I see my kids using TikTok and it's so suggestive, man, that just women with hardly any clothes, and it's awful. There's got to be a way to block that crap. Yeah. Okay. All right. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay. Eric wrote, with valuing Amazon, I came up with $35 per share because of massive stock options given out. How do you best calculate and find data on stock options? Yeah. So stock options are the best way to analyze that is to go to the annual report, the 10K for AMZN, Amazon sticker. Go to sec.gov and just do a search on stock options, and they should disclose everything there. Yeah. And I don't mind it when companies issue options as long as the stock is going up over time, as long as it's not too dilutive. Yeah. Because you want to have golden handcuffs in place to the extent that people aren't going to leave the company because they got shares that'll vest a couple of years from now. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, and then Azrael, let me know what you mean by searching R34. Thank you. Next up, we have Nathan Yount. Let me know if you're related to Robin Yount, Hall of Fame baseball player from Milwaukee Brewers. Yeah, 3,000 hits. Yeah. So Nathan wrote, it's been my experience that accountants count. They don't know the tax guidelines. They just follow their software, and they don't know the right questions to ask to maximize. Some tax experts falter. Yeah, that's why you want to ask your friends and family members, successful friends and family members, for what accountant they use. Yeah, yeah. And very wealthy people, what they do is they have tax lawyers as well. And these tax lawyers, I've spent close to $1,000 an hour. I feel bad saying that, but it saved me a ton of money as well. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Eric wrote suggestions on dealing with Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Yeah. So Eric is in Sarasota, Florida. He's created a couple of amazing companies that DARPA, U.S. government agency, might be investing in. I would try to network to find somebody that you have something in common with that works at the Gates Foundation. And Eric, if you want, during the Silver MBA call, it starts in 45 minutes. I can show you exactly how to do that using LinkedIn. Yeah. Next up, we have Ya, who's in my class that started in January, actually, from Colorado. Wrote, hello, everyone. Great to see you, always. You wrote, do you write a business plan when you're creating courses? Yeah. No, the way that it's a little bit different for me. So when I create courses, I think what has the largest total addressable market, right? And then what I also do is I look at people that have made courses similar to the one I'm making, and I search through all the one-star reviews to see what all the negative reviews are so I can make my course more better, as my kids used to say. Yeah. Okay, and Alex wrote, hey, Chris, funny enough, I'll actually be in Florida next week. I won't be looking at real estate, though. Looking forward to testing my lungs at sea level. Very cool. Enjoy that. Enjoy that. And if you're in Lauderdale, let me know. Yeah, so I've got good restaurant recommendations for you. Okay. And Eric wrote, how did Zuckerberg structure his company to stay in charge? So Mark Zuckerberg, I think he has more than 50% voting rights. So what happened was Facebook was the hottest private company between 2004 and when it went public in 2012. And Facebook was actually pretty lucky. It was great execution at that point, but given the financial crisis in 2008, VCs only wanted to invest in sure things, meaning Facebook, for example. And I invested in Facebook when it was private as well. And so because every VC was dying to get into Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg had a lot of power, right? And so there's a woman named Teresa. She's great. She's a professor at finance, and I've lectured in her class before. She used to work at Excel. And she told me actually how she won, I think it was a C round for Facebook. What she did was there was a bake-off and tons of VCs were meeting with Zuckerberg. And so what she did was brilliant, Teresa. What she brought 3 term sheets in her briefcase to the meeting to gauge Zuckerberg's interest. And she pulled out the term sheet. I think that was a $150 million round, the highest valuation. Yeah. But he had a lot of power at that point in time because it was the only sure thing in VC land. Okay. Next question is, do you use the Strava app? I do not. Sorry. I don't even know what that is. Yeah. But this is how I learn from questions. Okay. Moving on to Ya wrote, is it better to only look at cryptos that have a maximum supply? Yeah. I've seen some that seem to be unlimited supply or not available. What are the advantages and disadvantages? So I've been in Ethereum for years, and the only thing that bugs me about Ethereum is there's no limit on supply, but it is a platform where NFTs are made and most cryptos go public, ICOs. But with any asset class, I always love to look at supply, right? And you think about it with commodities, rare earth or any other rare commodities. Supply is limited, which is why the price goes up. So with any asset class, whether it's cryptos, etc., you do have to look at supply closely, always. Same thing with the baseball card market, the NFT market, etc. All markets in general. Okay. All right. And then Nathan wrote, the last tax expert, you know what I'm going to do actually is, if anybody wants to join Zoom, what I'll do is I'll open up Zoom right now while I answer questions. And the way to access Zoom here, if you want to ask me questions live, is you go to this web address, harounmba.com/Zoom, all lowercase, Zoom, right here. And then you can click right here to join the Zoom call. So what I'll do is I'll open it up right now. And if anybody has questions to ask over Zoom, by all means, join here as well. Allow. Come on, Zoomy. All right, it's starting up slowly. I'll monitor that in the background. There we go. Hey there. Okay, hold on. Great. Okay. So again, you can join Zoom if you want. I'll monitor it here in the background. Okay. All right, next up, Nathan Yount wrote, the last tax expert I used left about $100,000 to $150,000 of tax write-offs and credits unused, even when I memoed the tax guidelines, when I transmitted the documents, restructure myself, and tax guy tried hiring me. Yeah. I would just, if you're not confident in the accountant you guys have, you can, by all means, as I mentioned earlier, talk to your successful friends and family members and ask them for their accountants. Yeah. And they'll love to recommend their accountant to you because their accountant will get more work, which means that their accountant will do a better job for them on their tax returns as well. Yeah. All right. Next up, Nintendo, who is the first. I see the trophy icon. Thank you for joining my YouTube channel subscription service. I think you were the first person to join as well. Thank you. Yeah. You wrote, what is your advice for starting a fintech company, but keeping 100% of the equity? Yeah. Yeah. It's hard, man, because if you want to scale a business materially, you do have to take other investors. But for me, like for my company, I've had lots of investors reach out and want to invest in my company over the years since I started in 2016. I'll never take any investors. Never. Because I want to be focused on you, the student, and not be, basically have a board of directors, investors tell me what to do. Yeah. But Nathan, if you're going to do that yourself, or Nintendo, sorry, if you're going to do that yourself, please make sure to write a full business plan. Okay. And you can go to E31 in my MBA degree program. That's E31 through E35. That's Entrepreneurship Semester 3, Class 1 through Class 5, in order to learn more about a business plan. Okay. All right, cool. All right. Next up, Pranav. Hey, Pranav. Wrote, how do you learn about taxation? Yeah. So the best way is to learn about basic accounting and finance. Okay, and what EBITDA is and all that stuff. I teach all this in my courses, and so here's a really easy way to understand finance and accounting. The hardest part about business is finance and accounting. When I took accounting for the first time a million years ago, I got a D in university. I thought my life was over. I got a D because I was memorizing and not understanding it. You have to understand it and enjoy it, and when you enjoy it, you'll remember it. So I'm going to teach you how to enjoy finance and accounting. I'm going to give you one simple tip that will change everything for you. For the rest of your life, I want you to assume that the denominator is number 1. So for example, PE. If a company has a PE of 10, that means for every $1 in earnings they have on the denominator, investors are paying 10 times that $1 in earnings. If a company has a net profit margin of 30%, that means for every $1 in revenue in the denominator they're making 30 pennies of profit. It makes it easier and more fun to learn. And in my courses, what I do is I teach you based on using a lot of props as well, so that you enjoy learning finance and accounting and reading financial statements like a good book. Okay, moving on to Pearl wrote, hi Chris, great to have you back. Likewise, thank you, I missed you guys. You wrote, I've not joined the Silver MBA weekly Zoom in a while. My schedule is crazy right now, but I must say the Haroun MBA is life-changing, the bestest. Thank you, and God bless you for that. Thank you. And for anybody in the Silver MBA program, every Thursday from 10 until 11 Pacific time, if you go to the first lecture, you can actually join a 1-hour Zoom call I do with you guys. Yeah. Okay, and thank you for that. Okay, and Prashant, I see you here on Zoom. Let me know if you want me to bring you on live to ask questions. Just send a text message over Zoom, and I'll start the Zoom call. Thank you. Okay. All right, next up, Pranav wrote, how do you become an investment banker? Yeah. So like anything else, it's about networking, right? Networking. And I have a student in my MBA program last summer who got a job at Goldman Sachs working in investment banking in the same start class with Harvard MBA students, making 175K base. And he networked like crazy. I'm telling you, you can get anything you want if you network enough. It's like dating, right? It's a little bit ridiculous, but if you network enough, you will get anything you want. If you guys want, type more questions, and here's a quick video on network. I'm gonna take a quick break here. Thanks, guys. I don't think you need an education from a great university to get what you want in life. I think it all comes down to networking. You want more proof? Sir Richard Branson, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs. These people didn't have degrees. It all comes down to networking. Relationships are always more important than product knowledge. And there's so many success stories of people that started in the mailroom that went on to become CEOs. There's a former CEO of Cosmopolitan magazine. Another example is David Geffen. Another example is Simon Cowell from American Idol. Another example is Sidney Weinberg, who was once the CEO of Goldman Sachs. Yes, he started in the mailroom. So why is it all these people get from the mailroom to the corner office, almost all of them without degrees? Because they know how to network. The mail dude. The mail dude might stop by your I don't know, your cube or your office, whatever, in the morning and saying top of the morning to you. Did you see the Blue Jays beat the Yankees again, which always happens? But they're friendly and they're affable, and they network that way. You know, they're just social, and that's why in almost every situation when I used to teach in universities during the evenings, you know, my students with the top grades would never get the best jobs or be the most successful. It was the ones that, you know, were kind of social. They went out and partied, and they got their stuff done as well. They didn't get the best grades, but, you know, getting the best grades does not guarantee success in life. So the bottom line is I really think that you can network to get anything you want in life. You don't need a university degree to get a job at Apple anymore. You don't need a university degree to get a job at Google. You don't need a degree anymore. You know, the rules have changed. You want to learn a skill? Learn a skill online. If you want to learn how to code and you're 70 years old and you always wanted to, you're curious, what is this coding stuff? Don't be intimidated, dude. Go to udemy.com, take a course from Angela Yu or Rob Percival. You want to learn finance and accounting. Here I am to humbly help if I possibly can. You don't need a big institution to say that you're credible anymore. Those barriers are gone. They're gone. All you need to do is have a lot of heart and be willing to fail a lot by networking a lot. You know, it's kind of like if I told you that if you were to set up 20 informational meetings with strangers using LinkedIn, using the methodologies I teach you in class, if you were to do that, then I would guarantee you get your dream job. Would you do it? Of course you would. But people don't do it for some reason. I don't know. People are inherently lazy or they're just too stubborn to think that the world works a different way. And what would happen with me is every year at my when I used to teach during the evenings at MBA school or undergrad business, the first class I would always ask, if I told all of you that if you did 10 informational meetings over the next 10 weeks that you would get your job of your dreams, would you do it? All 70 hands would go up. Then on the last day of class, like 10 weeks later, or whatever it is, I would say, okay, how many people did 10 meetings? No hands go up. How many did 9? No hands go up. How many did 8? Maybe one hand goes up. And it's always that person whose hand goes up that did the 8 informational meetings that becomes the most successful in life. In all aspects of life, actually. All aspects. Because they understood that they have to network and ask. And they were cool with failure and rejection. And if you're not cool with failure or rejection, you're never going to reach your full potential in life. You know, you only have to be right in business one time. You know, it's kind of like dating. If I told you, if you asked out 30 supermodels, you know, somebody that's incredibly intelligent, attractive, funny, outgoing, you know, caring, all that great stuff. If I told you, if you asked 30 supermodels out on a date, and that by the 31st, you would get the spouse of your dreams, would you do it? Of course you would. I mean, you'd say you'd do it, but would you? You got to be comfortable failing 29 times, right? And just think of it this way. The pain of being rejected 29 times is this much. Pain, 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 pain. The pleasure of having that incredible spouse for the rest of your life is this. It's so big, it doesn't even fit on the screen here. So always think of it that way. It's kind of like when I invest in stocks or companies, I always think of risk reward. What's the downside? That's the risk. What's the reward? That's the upside. Reward minus risk is a positive number, very positive. Therefore, I do the investment. You only have to be right in business one time. So please network aggressively. And again, you can get my networking book from my website, harounventures.com, which it's free. It'll help you to figure out how to network to get anything you want in life. All right, there's a couple people on Zoom that looks like you guys wrote you want to ask questions during the silver office hours at 10. No problem at all. No problem at all. Okay, cool. Let me get on to the next couple questions here. Okay, next up we got Pearl who wrote, I'm 71% completed the MBA program and completely enjoying the options section. I had no idea what that was before I took the program. My confidence has gone up double notches since then. Awesome. And thank you so much for that. It warms my heart to hear that. Thank you. Oh my God, the Aquahood, who is Michael from Wales. Oh my God, you wrote, hey dude, it's been a while. It's been like 1 or 2 years. Great to see you, man. Great to see you. So Michael actually grew up with Sacha Baron Cohen, you know, the Borat guy. in I guess it was Wales. Yeah. And I remember you told me 2 years ago, you said that as a kid, Sacha Baron Cohen was so generous that he gave you a ton of his toys. And Sacha Baron Cohen's mother had to come to your house to politely ask for the toys back. Yeah. Small world. Great to see you, man. Great to see you. Check out the Netflix show called The Spy. It's Sacha Baron Cohen in a serious role. It's a 6-part miniseries on how an Israeli Mossad or IDF member was a spy in Syria and almost became the Minister of Defense. It's an amazing story. Yeah. Good to see you. All right, next up we have Awez. How are you? Great to see you. You wrote, "Hi, Chris. I'll be joining the MBA Gold Degree on May 1st. I'm already thrilled. Excellent. Thank you. I'm looking forward to humbly working with you." You saw, and then you wrote, "I saw and bought the first course on Udemy, how to invest in stocks. And now I'm at the MBA course, entire MBA in one course, 65% done. That's my 8-hour course. Thank you. I love the way you teach, and I'll be enrolling in all of your courses one by one with understanding. Thank you." You wrote, I want a career change and to learn how to invest. See you later in the MBA degree. Thank you. I'm looking forward to humbly working with you as well. Habibi. Thank you. You wrote, "God bless you from Norway." Thank you. Awesome. Thank you. Next up, we got Victor Franco, who wrote, "I left my job. What should I do with my 401k? Yeah, your 401k, which is a retirement savings program in the United States, you can roll it over if you want to. Yeah, you take it with you, of course. They don't own it, right? You can roll it over. And what I recommend doing is just call Fidelity and ask them how to do that. That's what I did. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Dark Illusion wrote, "Hi, sir. Chris, please. How are you doing? I'm always great. Thanks. Always great. Yeah. I love doing what I'm doing." Gary, how are you? Gary, join Zoom, buddy. Gary is in my Platinum program. Great guy. He's from Atlanta. He used to work at Boney, the Bank of New York. He was an investment banker as well. Super guy. He understands finance and accounting way better than I do. But if you want, you can join Zoom right now, or I'll see you later on during the Gold and Platinum office hours. And so Gary wrote here, regarding pre-market data for stock market openings, how do you find the specific ticker symbols to track? Yeah, it's hard. It's hard, but you'll notice that a lot of stocks will trade pre-market and post-market. But if companies have an event occurring like earnings, 4 times per year, then what happens is traders at big hedge funds and mutual funds, they stay at their desk until the earnings call is over. And you'll be able to transact in that stock, AMC, after the market closes. But be really careful, though, because it's not that liquid. And the difference between the bid and the ask spread can be so wide, you can drive a truck through it. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, and I got people on Zoom here who wrote they want to join me just in the silver call later on today. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. I hope to see you all. Please join me on Tuesday. Go to this link here. Tuesday, because I'm going to be doing my 7th annual 1-year Gold and Platinum MBA open house call. Everybody's going to get 2 courses for free. To learn more, go down to this link right here. And then Shivanth wrote, "Chris, how do you become that extrovert, outgoing guy when I'm an introvert, but still like I have a few great friends instead of shallow friends, but extroverts are great at networking?" Yeah, I'd say it's all up here. I was a bit of an introvert when I was younger. I remember when I was a programmer at Accenture, I remember coding, 10, 12 hours in a row. And I was like in a vacuum with horse blinders on. I loved it. And then I go to parties and I feel kind of nervous. And so what I did was I kind of forced myself to move to open spaces. I, run to my fear by being a little bit more social, a little bit uncomfortable at first. But if you run towards your fear, eventually your fear becomes your biggest passion. Like for me, I was terrified of public speaking. I'd rather die when I was younger than public speak, literally. And then I ran to my fear. So you got to run to your fear as well and push yourself to be more outgoing. Yeah, you can do it. Anybody can. Yeah. And just tell yourself, I don't give a damn what people think of me. That's what you got to do. You got to live your life that way. And there's a great chart I always talk about, which is this. This is life changing. See if I can visualize this. On the x-axis is your age. Okay. On the y-axis is give a damn. Okay. When you're younger, down here, You don't care what people think. You have meltdowns in restaurants like my kids did, and I certainly did, I'm sure, when I was their age. You don't care what people think. You're down here. When you're older, like me, you also don't care. Like old people don't have confidence problems. They just don't care. The problem is this. When you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and sometimes later, you're up here. You care what people think of you. And that is an awful way to live. And I used to live that way. And so I call this a triangle of despair. And you got to get rid of that triangle of despair and live your life at this level here. Tell yourself, I don't give a damn what people think of me. And all the best entrepreneurs in the world live their lives at this level. They don't care. Oprah Winfrey doesn't care what people think of her. 1 million people told her she'll never be successful in broadcasting. She didn't care. You know, the same thing with any successful author. You know, be it, Agatha Christie, J.K. Rowling, whatever, C.S. Lewis, John Grisham. They all got rejected 30 or 40 times before they finally got that contract. They don't care. They live at this level. Try it with me, man. Here's your homework. Your homework is this. Get a pen and paper, and I want you to do this 10 times. I don't care about X. Do that 10 times. And X, fill in the blank, is I don't care what people think of my hair. It's toupee. I don't care what people think of my choice of career. I don't care what people think of my car, my crappy car, whatever. I don't care. I don't care if people find out that I love Enya. I listen to Enya all the time when I'm working. I love it. I don't care. Live your life at that level. Down here, buddy, okay? I don't care. It's therapeutic. Try that. It's your homework. I don't care. Then, when you truly don't care what people think about you, you'll be at the point where you live your life in your own terms. And here's a great quote. I haven't used a quote in a while. This is a quote from Seth Godin, who wrote, "You have everything you need to build something far bigger than yourself." And you and me and we are always our big own worst enemy. Yeah. Try it. I don't care. It's cathartic. Yeah. All right. Next up, Daniel wrote, I'm thinking of investing in monthly treasuries. I have about $100,000 and I want something very liquid. Do you think this is a good thing to do? Yeah, I think everybody should have bonds in their portfolio. I wouldn't have more than 20% of your investments ever in one specific sector. So if you're investing in stocks, don't have more than 20% in tech stocks, don't have more than 20% in cyclical or industrial stocks. Also, don't have more than 20% in bonds either, right? Make sure it's a AAA rated fund, and you can look at ETFs as well for bond funds. Yeah. All right. And Alex P. from Utah wrote, Chris, you're the man. I always learn something on this here. Thank you. I appreciate that. I learned tons too, because when one teaches, two learn. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up now. Thank you all. God bless you. Click like, subscribe, and all that stuff. I hope to see you on Tuesday at 9 a.m. At this link here. I'll be giving away 2 courses for free on my 7th annual open house for my Gold and Platinum MBA degree program. And I'm going to end this weekly webcast like I always do with an interview of Steve Jobs that I licensed from the Silicon Valley Historical Association. This short video is life-changing. God bless you, and thank you as always.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. And the minute that you understand that you can poke life and actually something will, if you push in, something will pop out the other side, that you can change it, you can mold it, that's maybe the most important thing, is to shake off this erroneous notion that life is there and you're just going to live in it, versus embrace it, change it, improve it, make your mark upon it. I think that's very important. And however you learn that, once you learn it, you'll want to change life and make it better, because it's kind of messed up in a lot of ways. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.